Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming at you live from episode 31 of Life on the Rocks with your host, Connor Rocques. Today's featured guest is a special one in the hot seat today. My good friend, Lynne Fahey. How are you?
Hey, very well. How are you?
Very good, seriously.
Good.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Wonderful to be here.
For anyone who doesn't know Lynne currently, okay, she's got a number of titles here. It's great. So she is a health consultant with Sun Life Financial. That's the first title. She's also an entrepreneur with a company known as Melaleuca that's been around for quite some time now. You're also a life coach and you have a speaking career on the side, like I'd like to consider. So to start this off, Lynne, what got you started in business as an entrepreneur?
Well, I've always loved the idea of multiple streams of income. I think I read Robert Allen's book way back when, and it's so important to have so many things going on, but
Absolutely.
Things that you can manage and also things that fit within your vision and mission of what you want to accomplish. I think that's so important.
Absolutely. So where did you start specifically? Was it at Melaleuca first, or did you start a different venture? How did you get started in business?
So business-wise, so career-wise, I've been a disability management consultant for 20 years.
Okay.
And I've been able to work with people who have had various stages of disability, whether they've been in motor vehicle accidents or on long-term disability or short-term disability, and I've been able to help them find their new normal and get their life back. Try to get some sense of normalcy in their life, because they've been hit with a big challenge. And it's really important to find the right resources to help them get on their feet. So it all, when you can inspire and empower and educate people to be their best, they'll rise to that challenge.
It's so
really
true.
Cool.
And even since the first time I met you too, you can feel the energy, the aura coming off you. You're always such a positive, vibrant person.
Thank you.
And I honestly, I can see, especially dealing with different contexts like that, like what's one of the first steps when you're trying to get someone through to that next step?
Mm-hmm.
If they're in an accident or something, what is one of the first steps you would utilize?
Oh, I want to meet them where they are. I
Absolutely.
want to find out what their goals are, right? And it's not about what my goals are. Like I might be working for an insurance company, or I might be working for, a private disability management company, but I want to find out what their goals are, because chances are most people want to just get back to their normal and find what their normal is. And when they can find their normal, usually that has something to do with return to work or sometime a return to life. I call return to work a return to life, because things have to happen for you to go off work, and things have to happen for them to be able to get back to work. So it is a return to life.
Absolutely, kind of get back into your habits and better format and everything. So
Yeah.
how long have you been a life coach for? Because obviously that corresponds directly with what you're doing now. Like kind of the life coaching goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm, you bet. Well, probably for 20 years without
Yeah,
even
20 years,
realizing
yeah.
it. However, I think officially certified through the Certified Coaching Federation. That's only been a year.
No kidding,
so,
wow.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience and taking my game to a whole new level.
I can only imagine, especially like some of the principles they're going to teach you and go in. Does that work with neuro-linguistic programming as well?
It does, yeah.
That's another very effective thing you see with
Yes, it
Tony
is.
Robbins and stuff like that. So let's break this down for a second. So a lot of people, they've heard of Melaleuca before, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And some people would think that it's considerably a multi-level marketing company, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that it's direct sales. Or explain this to me, unpack that for me.
Sure, it's a consumer direct marketing, which
Okay.
means, so multi-level marketing, typically you can purchase through through a distributor, and that distributor might have product and so on and so forth. That's the first discrepancy. Is consumer direct marketing, you actually purchase right from the company.
Okay.
So
yeah.
you eliminate that middleman right away.
Definitely.
So you also eliminate that stream of income, because from a retail perspective, right, you could retail product. I choose not to do that, and that is something that we don't do with Melaleuca either, which is a lot less stress for me.
Definitely.
I love that part of it,
Yeah.
and you just deal with these. So I don't carry product. I don't ask
Trying to push
people for
everybody on
money
it, right?
and all
Yeah.
that. And yeah, so it's not about that at all. So that's probably the biggest difference right there.
Okay.
And the other one is just the fact that there's no huge buy-in, right? You're not spending $1,500 to get into something.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just, you buy what you need. And
No, exactly, yeah.
from a business perspective, I have to credit my husband for this, because he is the one who really saw the logic in that. From a business perspective, people will always wash their face, brush their teeth, and they'll do their laundry.
Absolutely.
And in tough economic times, they'll still do that.
No, absolutely,
So this
yeah.
is a business model that is recession proof.
No, exactly. It's going to be ongoing, and those are some of the things and necessities you're going to need.
You bet.
Also, it's with that company, from what I understand, it's going to save you time. You don't have to go to the grocery store. So people probably out there they've heard of Melaleuca, but what is Melaleuca in general? So it's break that down for a second.
Yeah, you bet. Melaleuca is a manufacturer, and
Okay.
it is it's the seller of the product. So they manufacture their products, well over 400 products that people need and use every single day.
No kidding.
And they always manufacture, their products are manufactured to a higher quality. So the competitors are the grocery stores.
No
So
kidding.
where you're looking at competing with grocery store brands, Melaleuca is an online store that competes with that. And in this market of online, people love online shopping.
Yeah.
So it's not going away anytime soon.
Absolutely, yeah.
And in fact, Melaleuca has just hit its stride. 32 years later, they've had the best 2 years in history.
Wow.
So it's I'm really proud to be part of it.
For sure. And would you argue that it's hit those best 2 strides because all of a sudden the people on the teams, everything else coming together? Is that where it is, or did they change something?
No, nothing. Like, I mean, it's not. They've added some amazing products as well, but I would say that they have the corporate leadership that is just incredible. They just seem to have that vision, and it's been managed growth. They've been able to deal with the growth, and they've been able to manage it quite effectively.
I think that's great because not enough companies I see nowadays, like in the future, they're trying to get their margins through the roof, so their incentives aren't high enough. So they're getting rid of employees. Where there's a number of companies I work hand in hand with, where they're trying to pump as much money into their employees as they can, so that they train them, they get them effectively ready, they empower them similar to yourself, so that when you go out into the workforce, i.e., the environment, you're gonna thrive, right?
Yep.
And I think that's one of the worst things you're seeing is that too many people, it's this competitive edge with no high enough incentive. Everyone wants to get here. But with a company like that, that's why I was interested. I wanted to see some more about what's going on there, and especially if you said in the last 2 years that they've hit margins that they've never hit before.
That'd be great.
And who's the leader on some of these teams? Like, so are you? I don't know. I'm just trying to get the context. Like, are you a team leader? You have people, so you have people under you, obviously.
We all lead our own teams,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about it, and that's where the life coaching comes in, because I follow a system, and I'm a coach actually with Make Green Go Green
Oh, okay.
and the Partners Network, and that is the coaching system that I use that is quite effective in helping leaders get to their new level. So I can incorporate all of the CCF based training, the neuro-linguistic programming, all that wonderful stuff and all that wonderful learning into the Partners Network.
Absolutely. So the Partners Network. So I want to ask you, I always like calling people on here that are dealing with people in general. What happens when you have somebody as a coach and they're kind of down in the dumps, they're sitting there, they're exhausted, whatever it may be, that they're sitting there like, I can't do it anymore. But you're the type of person what would be one of the first steps you would take to kind of get them back on track? So you start off with the goals. Like, what exactly is it? I want you to walk me through this for a second for anyone else out there kind of trying to look to help somebody. What are some techniques or something you could utilize when that person said that, Lynne, that's it, I'm done, I can't do any more. And as a coach, you got to kind of get them that spark.
Right. I think one of the best techniques that I've used is I want to get them dreaming again. I want to get them starting to either put themselves into the future, but if they can, if there's a depression or some kind of, an illness that might stop that from happening, I'd like to know how they managed it in the past. Because typically, I'm not seeing them the first time around.
Yeah.
There might have been something that's happened along the way, and I really want to find out what that looks like and how they managed it before. Sometimes in the case of depression, they might have managed it through medications, and I wonder why those medications aren't working anymore, or just taking them and opening them up to something new, like they might be open to counseling now that medications aren't working as effectively, so they might be open to some counseling, and that's then a resource that I have a whole bunch of them within the community. We have some amazing providers in the community, and I work Northern Ontario as well. So Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, we can always find treatment providers that will help out.
No kidding, I didn't realize that. So let's back this up for a second. So
Sure.
you're doing a lot of this type of work. What got you in? I'm just curious because you go into the financial side, all of a sudden you're doing the health side with Sunlight Financial. What got you into there? Was there an opportunity at a networking event? Like, how did that start up? That you're working with all the health companies, and all of a sudden now you're working with a financial company. I'm just curious.
Well, Sun Life is, I work on the long-term disability side of things.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so I actually help people who are off on long-term disability get back to their regular life.
Get that back of it. That's
Yeah,
really
so
good.
I'm a resource.
Okay, that's awesome. I was just trying to put this all together because you have so many different angles and hats.
Different way, yeah.
I know, I'm trying to, typical entrepreneur. It's like, okay,
Yes.
yeah, what do you do? I do it all. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. But I want to back this up then for a second. You also have a public speaking side. You can tell you speak very fluently and clear. Me, I was self-taught with speaking, so I screw up some of my stuff. You're very clear and fluid, you can tell through Toastmasters. How long have you been a Toastmaster?
I've been a Toastmasters for 10 years.
No kidding,
So,
wow.
Well, yeah, 2006.
No kidding. And how many, like, have you ever went on the big stage with them, or
Yes,
you've done some events and
I
stuff?
have done events, and I have been on the big stage. Not the biggest stage, not the international
No,
stage,
no.
but definitely the division and district stages.
Wow.
Yeah, so in front of it, probably a couple hundred people.
No
which is
kidding.
kinda
That's
neat.
big.
It's
No,
pretty
that's a
cool.
lot of people. They're staring at you, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
I want you to, so for anyone else out there, I always talk about whether it be with artists or, speakers and stuff, like what gets you over that fear of public speaking? When you're walking out there, everybody's looking at you. You
Right.
think, they're going to judge me. Like, what gets you over that fear? Do you have a mantra? Do you have something you do before, a priming ritual? Like, what is it exactly?
Well, it's really about getting myself grounded. That's probably the most important thing, and acknowledging that I have a message for the audience,
Absolutely.
right? That I have something meaningful to say, and that I know that at least one person is going to take something away. And if I know that, then I can, then I can be a lot calmer. But
Absolutely.
I think you're always going to have the butterflies. You're always going to have that. But it's just practice helps you manage it.
Absolutely.
Just like any aspect of your life. So the practice makes perfect. And what I love about Toastmasters is every week you get to practice your skills.
So true.
And it just is so rewarding when you see someone who came in, less than a year ago, who's, done their icebreaker, which is their first speech, and they, shook their way through it, and then now they're making their way up to 5 and 6 and 10 speeches later.
So true.
And you see the growth, and there's so much reward in that.
It's empowering too, and that's why I ask
Okay.
a lot of people that work by themselves. I say, have you ever thought maybe building a team? Getting like a kind of what I call a void contract where you can have someone working for you, making their own money, doing all this stuff, and you get that team around you because it adds that much more fire to your movement, your message.
Yeah.
And I never actually started utilizing that until a little bit later on, like recently, and I'm starting to see, holy crap, you can call up someone else that they can help you do this, they can help you do that. And I think that's one of the things with Toastmasters that's great is no matter if your speech is quote unquote not good, you have the energy, everything in the room, everyone's kind of encouraging you, saying this is what you have to do.
Everyone wants you to succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants you to succeed in Toastmasters.
And the sad thing is, and I hate to say it, and not to sound cynical, but a lot of the time in the real world, not everybody wants to see you succeed. And what I'm finding too, dealing with students primarily, and I don't know if you can contest this, I'm sure you're great with kids and everyone else because you got the energy.
For them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there we go. But a lot of parents, it almost seems, and you see these people we study under, like Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, all these, the ones I'm looking at, and they're saying, sometimes it's the parents that kind of bring the kids down. They're like, well, no, just try to stick to a realistic goal. Like, how do you manage with that if you see somebody with a fire in their eyes, like we were talking before, and how get them to that level? Like, how would you try to work with that? Let's say it's one of your kids that's just they have the energy, they have everything going, but it's something unrealistic. Like, how do you as a parent would you deal with that?
All of our kids, we have a blended family of 4 kids, and our kids range in age from 20 to 30, 20 to 29. Sorry, Kristen, 29.
That's okay.
Not quite 30.
She's not watching.
She's not quite 30.
Yeah.
She might be.
Yeah.
She's in Taiwan. And I think the best way, I never want to be the one to squash their dream.
Definitely.
So if that is something that isn't realistic, that I don't think could ever happen, who am I to say that? Who am I to squash a dream? And what if they realize that it's not on their own terms, so they shoot for it and they come up just a tiny bit short and they land on something else? Like I like to think we've encouraged our kids that they can do and have everything they want.
It's so true. Like the Bob Proctor philosophy,
Yeah.
I think what our society lacks right now in general, in a generalistic term, is self-awareness. In a sense that not enough people are going out there and discovering, they kind of they put themselves in the environment so that they can react, kind of build the confidence. And that's what I'm seeing with a lot of students, is because they have that constant fear when you're walking out in the door every day. And I finally hit a point in my life where I said, you know what, that's it. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And when I accepted my terms, quote unquote, that was it. And that kind of changed my life and gave me a breakthrough. How do you, so as obviously if you're dealing with with the life coaching license stuff, like we talk breakthroughs, like how would you start about getting someone a breakthrough again? Like is that a tough question? That's an interesting question, to get someone to a breakthrough, right? So you're dealing with like people on generalistic terms where they're very we're all kind of on the same pattern to kind of get them to break through. Do you have any techniques or things that we can utilize or know that you use as a strategy?
Well, I first off tell them to eliminate the word try from their vocabulary.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. Just eliminate try from your vocabulary, because as Yoda would say, there is no try, only do.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the biggest thing. It's what you say. What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to your kids? What are you saying to the people around you? And it's so important, and I think that self-awareness is what you're talking about, that we're on autopilot sometimes. Absolutely. And we don't pay attention to those thoughts, and those thoughts shape our reality. So Tony Robbins is great for saying, be very careful at the mind of your door who you let in. So right? You really want to let in those thoughts that are going to empower you, inspire you to do good things, great things.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's like he uses the affirmations and other things that kind of get you jacked up, and then the physiology. Who do you study under? Just out of curiosity, like, who are some of the influencers that you watch? Obviously, Tony Robbins. Like, is there anyone else specifically? I know we had talked when we talked before this. Actually, who are some of the ones that you like to kind of watch and follow?
Sure, I love following Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Oh, Dyer's good, yeah.
Yeah, he's passed now, but oh my gosh, his work lives on. His book, I Can See Clearly Now. I listened to it on audio earlier in the summer, and it was amazing. Like, that's amazing. Almost like it's autobiographical. Tony Robbins, definitely. Simon Sinek, really enjoying his work.
I've heard of him, but I don't know much.
And Start With Why.
Oh, okay, right? There we go.
So Start With Why. I've just got his new one. I haven't opened it up yet, but Brendan Burchard. I mean, his High Performance. I just got that one.
That just came out.
I've been listening to all the podcasts. I think I was listening to that just before I came in.
Oh, really? Wow.
So really, his interview with Larry King. Really good. Yeah, so those are, I mean, just rich with such content, right? Jim Rohn, I love some of the older work, and just find yourself a group of people who are like-minded. So leaders are readers, so it's really important to get people who are reading to talk within groups and get them sharing their stories. It's important.
Yeah, instead of some people always trying to rip you down, right? The higher you go, people try to pull back in.
Exactly.
And I've always been by that mentality. You try to find good friends, people that can bring you up. You always have your fun friends you're going to have fun with, but you always want to have somebody that sees the vision and they're like, this is where we're going to go.
You bet.
And I think that's one thing a lot of people miss too, is trying to get that team and getting people back in them. And then if you look at drug addiction, for instance, and people that are bound to that, it's that a lot of time you see the friend groups and people in there, and they get the peer pressure and they get sucked down the rabbit hole, as we want to call it.
But you are the average of the top 5 people you hang out with.
So true.
So what does that look like? Who are you hanging out with, and what you're that average? So that you're totally within that control to pick who you hang out with.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Lynne, I gotta ask you, have you always been this positive? Have you always been the vibrant person like I see right now? Have you always been like that, or was there something that kind of got you into that mode where you hit a breakthrough or realize something?
I'd like to think I always have been. I've been told that I have been, at least in the last number of years, and my mom has shared a story with good friends to say that I was the kid that woke up in the morning and it was really positive.
Yeah.
So I am a morning person, so probably. So I'm going to say yes. And fundamentally, I've always kind of seen the glass half full, so it's always been good.
I sold the glass.
Yeah,
That's
did
my
you sell the
I sold the glass. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Did see
But
that yeah. So yeah, I've always been that. I kind of always been that person, but I think in the last little while, it's been even more. I've been able to shine that a little bit more through. If that makes sense. Just from the work that I've been doing and
more fulfillment. Is that what it is?
A lot more fulfillment.
Yeah.
I would say that for sure. Career-wise and everything going on right now.
Yeah, I was curious because I'm always trying to find out things and strategies for people. I like studying people in general, just people that are high performers, and obviously yourself, you're versatile. What are some things you utilize, like when you're waking up in the morning, to get that energy? Like if you carry yourself very well with the energy you bring forward, it's very positive, very it's not invasive energy. Like what are some of the things you utilize? Do you have like a mantra in the morning? Or do you think of something, you just wake up and I'm grateful to be alive? Like I see my kids, I see something, I just know my life's good. Like I don't live in a third world country. Like is there something you utilize?
Gratitude is huge, and I think gratitude is the closest thing to love, right? So when you're living in a state of gratitude, there's no room for fear, and fear can be that real deal breaker. It can be really toxifying. So I'm going to say that as close to gratitude as possible. So yes, waking up in the morning, I mean, I follow Louise Hay. She's got great affirmations. I'm the one who kind of thanks the bed for being so comfortable.
I like that.
Right? So,
Yeah.
and I just try to rhyme off as many things as I can to be thankful for. And I have a practice of gratitude as well. Meditation practice is important. I think it's important to really kind of get yourself quiet because things get chaotic in a day.
So true.
And it helps with the managing of the time and feeling like you have enough time to manage all the things. That's the difference, right? Between people who are go and not thinking they're enough to people who say, okay, there's enough time to do everything I need to do. I may not get it all done today because that's sometimes that's impossible. But yeah, definitely a gratitude challenge or a gratitude exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise is really important too. Like
For sure.
Physical activity is really important. Staying hydrated, huge.
Yeah.
Right? When you're not hydrated, you can't function on full cylinders. Getting the right supplements, just eating properly, like those are real, like the foundation of
key points.
Yeah, if you're not feeling well, a few years ago, I found myself not feeling well and requiring surgery, like that kind of extreme.
Wow, yeah.
And I really know that you can't take your health for granted. You really have to work at it every day. So every day, definitely since then, I feel like I've definitely got my life back.
No, I like that, and I think that's huge too. And not
Yeah.
people, everyone's like, "Oh, I want to make money in this." Yeah, well, you can have all the money in the world, but if you feel like crap, you're never going to enjoy the pleasure
You're
of
not healthy.
anything, right?
Yeah, money doesn't matter when you're not healthy.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
Especially if you're going to pass, and that's one of the hardest things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I want to switch gears here before we
Sure.
kind of close this off. I think this is important. So we've been talking a lot about the health side, your business,
Mm-hmm.
everything. How do you find so with marketing yourself for these
Mm-hmm.
type of companies and people? Like, I want you to talk to me about some marketing processes. Like, what are some things you utilize? Like, because marketing obviously is behaviors and attitudes, right? That's what we're trying to control to get to a sale. Like, how do you feel about the stigma associated with the idea of selling if you're a salesperson? Like, I like to consider, I embrace the fact, I always talk about it on the show, like, how do you feel about that fact that I'm a salesperson? Like, somewhat, like, how do you deal with that, getting over the stigma? If you want to bring people onto your team, it's not you're selling them, but you're pulling them in your network, you're trying to build a relationship. Like, talk to me about that.
You bet. Well, first of all, if you are a parent, if you're married, if you're in a relationship of any kind, friendship, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, husband, wife, you're a salesperson. Because you are selling that person every single day to wash their face, brush their teeth if you're the parent, stay with you if you're a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, right? So every day you're really selling yourself. And I say that not in a cheap way, I say that in a very influential way. You bring your best to the table. That's what selling is. You're really bringing your best. So I don't have a negative stigma when it comes to selling. I think every one of us is a salesperson.
Absolutely.
And I think if we can embrace that, I think there's been a lot of negative connotations, but I think the positive is just be the best person you can be, and you are selling yourself.
Absolutely, no, and that's why I wanted to ask, because I see there is that stigma, and I did a door-to-door skit, so obviously I went right into the stigma, and I'm sitting there, and I'm a nice person, I'm not out there to screw anybody, whatever it was, but I went into that environment, and you get to see as people are opening the door and they're looking, it's either, are you going to preach to me, or what is it exactly?
That's right.
And I had to deal with that. You had to come and do a pivot and overcome through that. But yeah, I think that's important, especially when you're in business, because everything, your business won't be in business without sales, right?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. So what about the marketing side of it too? How do you market with Melaleuca or to get yourself into some of these companies as a resource? Like, what are some of the things? You don't have to say what you do specifically, but like, I'm just curious how you got to the gatekeeper and got in. You know?
Well, first of all, cold calling is the pits.
There it is.
Cold calling is really tough,
Yeah.
and I've done it, and it's not fun, right? I mean, you don't know what you're getting on the other end. So I much prefer warm market, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a proud BNI member, because BNI, Business Network International, is a 30-year-old referral marketing organization that's in well over 70 countries and over 230,000 members. Dr. Ivan Meisner is the founder, and 30 years ago he had a team of a few people and he basically said, listen, there's got to be a better way than cold calling. And they came up with this amazing organization. We have it in Sudbury. It's been in Sudbury now for the last 4 years. And I'm, a proud member of the BNI Alliance North, and we have one other chapter that's so 2 chapters launched and in full-fledged, and a 3rd one on its way. So I would encourage any business owner to, you know, really check out bni.com, because it's an amazing, or I'd be happy to share some information.
Yeah.
I love it so much that I'm now a director consultant, which means that I help new chapters and I coach existing chapters other than my own. In my own chapter, I represent the health and wellness product seed, so I get to focus on my business. That's the way I market. I market with people that I know, like, and trust, that are around the table, and they are able to do the same with me. Yeah, we exchange referrals all the time.
So that's how it works, okay.
It's all about getting results, and we track the results, and we're able to identify, you know, where we can improve.
Yeah.
Plus all the learnings and the education. BNI is all about that, and I love the fact that every single week I'm able to focus on my marketing and also learn something about how to be a better business owner.
No, 100%. So is it similar, like, I'm just curious, someone out there's going to be thinking this, is it similar to the Rotary? Like the Rotary Club, or is it the opposite? Like, someone's going to ask that, right?
Yeah, well, Rotary is an amazing organization, and they are all about service, right?
Okay.
I've been to a couple of Rotary meetings, and it's the service piece. BNI is referral marketing. So in fact, Rotary is great for networking and opportunities, and great people are in Rotary for sure. BNI is focused on a giver's gain, but a giver's gain philosophy. So if I help other people with their business, they're in turn are going to want to help me because they see the value. So people that you know, like, and trust.
Absolutely. It's like one of my mentors says, he said, do somebody a solid and they'll do it back.
Right?
In the most
it may not always happen, right? Or that person may just have some great energy and may not be able to give you directly a referral or business, but maybe now they're going to help 5 other people because of the energy of being helped themselves. So it really is that philosophy.
Yeah, the impact you have on
Giver's
the exactly, giver's game. I like that. To close this off, the most important question, and it goes right back to probably your overall philosophy, how important is it to give back? So, because it comes in full thread. Talk to me about that. That's the most important. I want to know.
Oh, it's really
do
important.
a charity, whatever it is.
Yeah,
like, in which way? Like, I always tell people, whoever I'm dealing with, I said, you know, if you're having a crappy day, go help somebody. I don't care what the context is. Go help somebody that's down. Bring them up and do something. Put a smile on their face. That reflects.
Yes, it does.
So talk to me about that for an ender.
Oh, I think it's important. I think that community service is huge. I've been a proud volunteer with the United Way probably since 2007. I've been on the leadership development. I take, you know, my strengths and provide them to the organizations I can. Easter Seals was another, and you know, I've just loved the fact that you give. I love the fact that United Way supports 50 some odd programs here in the community. Wow. And I know that when I'm giving, you know, with every paycheck, I know that it's going somewhere locally for me. And I love the fact that these programs, we see people getting better. It truly does make a difference when you volunteer. And it doesn't have to take up a whole lot of time. It really doesn't. Serving a dinner at the soup kitchen, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's an evening.
No, 100%,
and it warms your heart because you know you're doing something good for somebody.
Yeah, I know somebody that's struggling.
Totally important.
It's good. I'm going to keep you even because we're on a live, so I can explain it. So we do a campaign every year called Cans for Christmas.
Yeah.
Last year we were doing that, and the context behind it is trying to get away from the consumerism. So gives. It's more give.
Nice.
So whether that be just talking about your experience or just giving back some cans, or giving your time.
Yeah.
And that's the whole premise behind it. So we're launching that for the 4th year in a row, and it's the same thing. So we're going to correspond with all the charities, everyone else we can. Beautiful. And it got that message that, you know what I mean, we have to give back, and too many people obviously with the cell phones, everything else, are focused on me. It's like, well, you look at that person over there, they might have a tougher time. Let's see how can I impact that person. And you must notice this as a life coach, as just a great individual, that I don't think enough people truly believe that they have gifts and talents to actually take to the next level. And that's hard for me when I'm dealing with students and I'm trying to get them to create a breakthrough, and I'm saying, hey, that you can influence somebody. Like right now I can go and, you know, I can ruin somebody's day, I can say something negative, but there's also the contrary where I can go and brighten someone's day, and I try to get people in that format and in that kind of thought process, right? And I think that's the biggest thing ever.
Use your superpowers for good.
That's it, exactly. Lynne, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Wonderful.
If I'm going to say it on here live, if I were to hire a life coach, right there, that's the one right there. I swear to God.
Thank you.
That's for sure. Yeah.